he spots a girl secretly, signaling for help. What he does next saves her life. A 12-year-old boy was just playing soccer at the park like any other day. The sun was low in the sky, casting a soft orange glow across the grass. The air was quiet, calm. Just the sound of kids laughing in the distance, birds in the trees, and the soft thump of his soccer ball. He had no idea his routine kick-around would lead to something so serious. He wasn't looking to be a hero. But when he saw a girl make a strange hand gesture, a gesture most people wouldn't even notice, everything changed. That one moment, one silent signal, started a chain of events that would affect more than just his life. His name was Sam. Every afternoon after school, Sam liked going to the park with his soccer ball. It was his escape. He didn't care much about phones or video games. Just give him some open space and his ball and he was good. He wasn't the loudest kid. He wasn't the bravest either. But one thing about Sam, he noticed things. The little things most people missed. He liked watching the world around him even when he didn't realize it. That afternoon, something felt different. The park wasn't as busy as usual. Just a few kids on the swings, some parents chatting nearby. Sam found his usual spot near the benches and dropped his backpack to start his drills. He began moving with the ball, tapping it between his feet, zoning out like he always did. But then, something tugged at the edge of his attention. A girl, sitting on a bench, all alone. She looked about his age, maybe younger. She had curly hair and wore a pink jacket that looked way too warm for the weather. Her head was down, her shoulders slumped. Something about her felt off, like she didn't belong there. Sam slowed down, the ball rolling away unnoticed. He looked around and saw a man, probably in his 50s, standing a few feet behind her. Graying hair, tired face, pacing back and forth with a tense look on his face. Sam had never seen either of them before. At first, he figured they were just waiting for someone. Maybe a ride home. But the way the man kept checking his watch and mumbling made Sam feel uneasy. The girl hadn't moved at all. Trying not to stare, Sam went back to his ball, but couldn't focus. His eyes kept going back to her. That feeling in his chest, that quiet discomfort, it kept growing. Then, it happened. The man stepped away to answer a call. He turned his back for just a moment, and the girl finally looked up, right at Sam. Their eyes met. She looked nervous, unsure, but like she was hoping he'd see her. Then, in a small, almost hidden motion, she lifted her hand. Sam thought maybe she was going to wave, but it wasn't a wave. She made a strange shape with her hand. First, she tucked her thumb into her palm, then slowly wrapped her fingers over it, like she was hiding something. Then she dropped her hand just as quickly. Sam froze. His heart was suddenly pounding. What was that? Why did it feel like she was trying to tell him something? He glanced at the man, still distracted on his phone. Sam didn't know what the signal meant, but it didn't feel random. He could tell it was meant for him. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but somehow, it felt serious. Sam stood there, for a few seconds, unsure of what to do. His hands felt clammy. His mouth was dry. Should he walk over? Should he ask if she's okay? What if he was wrong? But then again, what if he was right? What if she really needed help, and no one else was paying attention but him? Sam looked back at the girl. She was staring at the ground again, her hands in her lap. Everything in him told him something wasn't right. He picked up his backpack, grabbed his ball, and without another second of doubt, he ran home. Because someone needed to know, and he wasn't going to ignore it. Not this time. Sam didn't stop running until he reached his house. His heart was beating fast, not from the run, but from the weight of what he had just seen. He wasn't sure if he was overreacting, but something inside him kept repeating the same thing over and over. That girl needed help. He burst through the front door, dropping his backpack to the floor. "Mom," he called out, his voice shaky. His mom was in the kitchen chopping vegetables for dinner. The smell of garlic filled the air, but Sam barely noticed. "What is it, honey?" she asked, wiping her hands on a towel when she saw the serious look on his face. Sam tried to slow his breathing. "I saw something weird at the park." She paused, giving him her full attention. There was a girl sitting on a bench. She looked sad. And the man with her, he was pacing around looking angry. But then Sam paused, trying to explain it right. "She made this hand sign at me." "A hand sign?" his mom repeated, frowning. "What kind of sign?" Sam demonstrated, it as best as he could. He tucked his thumb into his palm and wrapped his fingers over it. His mom's face changed. Slowly. Her eyes widened, just a little. "Where did you see that?" she asked, her tone quiet now. "At the park," Sam said. She looked right at me and did it. Then put her hand down quickly, like she didn't want the man to see. His mom took a deep breath. "That's not just a random signal. That's been used by people to silently ask for help." Sam's stomach dropped. "So she was in trouble?" "We don't know for sure," his mom said carefully. "But you were right to come home and tell me. You did the right thing, Sam." "What should we do?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. His mom didn't hesitate. She reached for her phone. "I'm calling the police." Sam sat on the couch while she spoke to the officer. She explained everything he had told her. She even described the hand signal. Her voice was calm, but Sam could tell she was worried. When she hung up, she turned to him. "They're going to send someone to check it out." Sam nodded, feeling a little relief, but only a little. Because now, he had to wait. Wait and wonder. What if it was nothing? But what if it wasn't? That night, Sam lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He couldn't stop thinking about the girl's face, the way she looked straight at him, like she was begging him to understand. What was she going through? He imagined what would have happened if he had just gone back to his soccer game, if he had ignored her, if nobody ever noticed the signal. That thought made his chest tighten. Down the hall, he could hear his mom still moving around in the kitchen. She was probably still thinking about it too. The next morning, Sam was up early. He hadn't slept much, but the sunlight streaming through his window didn't let him stay in bed. He dragged himself to the kitchen where his mom was already pouring coffee. She looked at him, her expression soft. "You okay?" He shrugged, still thinking about her. "I know," she said, sitting down beside him. "I called the police station again this morning, just to follow up. They said they're going to have an officer check the park again today." "Do you think they'll find her?" he asked. "I hope so," she said gently. "And if she really is in trouble, I hope they can help her." Sam nodded. He still didn't feel better, but he knew they had done the right thing. Later that day, he didn't go to the park. He couldn't. Instead, he sat by the window, watching people walk past, wondering if any of them had ever noticed something like he had, wondering how many kids out there were trying to send a signal, and no one saw it. He was still lost in thought when the doorbell rang. His mom opened the door, and there stood a police officer, a woman with kind eyes and a notepad in her hand. "Hi," she said, smiling politely. "I'm Officer Martinez. Is this Sam?" Sam stood a little nervous. "Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to thank you for reporting what you saw yesterday," she said. "That signal you described, it's something we take very seriously. We checked the park and found the girl you mentioned. She's safe right now, and we're talking to her to make sure she's okay." Sam felt a mix of emotions all at once, relief, fear, and something else too. Something heavy. "What did she say?" he asked. We can't share all the details, Officer Martinez said gently. But I can tell you this. She told us the signal was real. She meant it. Sam's heart sank and lifted at the same time. He had been right. He had helped, and now everything was about to change. The next morning, Sam woke up feeling something in his chest that was hard to name. It wasn't exactly fear or worry. It was more like a quiet weight, sitting there, reminding him that something important had started and that it wasn't over yet. He kept thinking about what Officer Martinez had said. She meant it. That girl, Lisa, she had really been asking for help. That signal wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a coincidence. It was real. Sam couldn't stop picturing her sitting there in that pink jacket, hunched on the bench, eyes full of something between sadness and quiet desperation. Later that afternoon, 2 officers, Martinez and Stevens, returned to the park. Not in a rush, not with sirens. Just quiet, careful. They had a name now, Lisa, and they had a story that didn't quite make sense yet. But they were ready to hear more. The park was a little busier than the day before. Kids playing tag, parents chatting, someone walking a golden retriever that kept stopping to sniff the same tree over and over. But the bench, that bench, was still there. And so were they, Lisa, sitting small, quiet. And the man, Mr. Harris, standing near her, arms crossed, his eyes scanning the area. Officer Martinez noticed the way he stiffened when he saw them approaching. They didn't walk fast. No sudden moves. Just 2 people doing their job. Careful, not to make the girl feel afraid. Good afternoon, Officer Stevens said, his voice calm. Mind if we sit for a moment? Mr. Harris didn't say anything at first. Then, after a pause, he gave a short nod. What's this about? Martinez smiled kindly. Nothing to worry about, just checking in. A local kid saw something the other day and we're making sure everything's okay. Mr. Harris didn't look convinced. This about Lisa? She looked up when she heard her name. Her eyes went from her uncle to the officers. She didn't look surprised. More like, she had been waiting. She's my niece, Mr. Harris said after a second. Been staying with me since my sister and her husband passed away. Martinez nodded. We're really sorry to hear that. I'm sure it's been a hard adjustment for both of you. Mr. Harris shifted his weight. We're managing. Stevens glanced at Lisa. Mind if we talk to her? Just for a moment? Mr. Harris hesitated. His jaw tightened. She hasn't done anything wrong. We're not here because she did, Martinez replied gently. We just want to make sure she's okay, that's all. Lisa looked at her uncle, waiting for some kind of cue. After a few seconds, he gave a stiff nod and stepped aside. Martinez crouched down so she was eye level with the girl. She didn't ask anything right away, just gave a little smile. Hi, Lisa. I'm Maria. This is my partner. We're just here to talk. Okay if I sit. Next to you? Lisa nodded slowly. There was a long silence. The kind of silence where something is about to be said, but just hasn't made its way out yet. We heard you made a hand sign the other day, Martinez said gently. Can you tell us about it? Lisa looked down at her shoes. She fidgeted with the hem of her sleeve. Then she whispered, My dad taught me that. Martinez nodded slowly. The hand signal? Lisa nodded. He told me. If I ever felt scared, but I couldn't say it out loud, I should do that. Martinez didn't interrupt. Lisa went on. Uncle Harris yells a lot, not all the time. But when he does, he scares me. He doesn't hit me or anything, but I don't know what to do. Stevens joined quietly. That must feel really heavy, huh? Lisa didn't speak, but her eyes filled with tears. Martinez leaned a little closer. Lisa, you're really brave for telling us that. It's not easy to say when something doesn't feel right. I don't want to get him in trouble, Lisa said quickly. He's all I have left. You're not trying to get him in trouble, Martinez said. You're trying to be safe. And that's more than okay. That's smart. Back near the bench, Mr. Harris was watching them, his arms crossed, foot tapping. He looked like a man stuck between frustration and fear. The one officers gently asked Lisa a few more questions about her day-to-day life, about her uncle's moods, about how often she felt like she needed to use that signal. She didn't say anything extreme. There were no bruises, no signs of physical abuse, but that didn't mean she was okay. Emotional pain doesn't always show up on the outside. After a few minutes, Martinez nodded. Thank you, Lisa. You've helped us understand a lot. Would it be all right if we checked in with you again soon? Lisa wiped her eyes and gave a small nod. When they returned to Mr. Harris, his guard was already up. What did she tell you? We had a good talk, Stevens said calmly. She told us she's been having a hard time, and that things at home have been tense. Mr. Harris scoffed, looking away. Of course they are. I didn't ask for this. I'm doing what I can. I believe you, Martinez said. And I also believe you're overwhelmed. But yelling, being angry all the time, it's taking a toll on her. She's scared. There was a beat of silence. I'm not a bad man, Mr. Harris muttered. I don't know what I'm doing. That doesn't make you bad, Martinez said. It makes you human. But we need to figure out how to support both of you. Would you be willing to talk to someone? Maybe get some help? Mr. Harris didn't say anything, but he didn't walk away either, and that was something. That evening, when Martinez returned to the station, she filed the report and made a recommendation for social services to step in. Because even though no one had been hurt, there was something just as important at stake. A child's ability to feel safe, to trust, and to be heard. And it had all started with a silent signal that someone actually saw. The next few days felt strange for Sam. He had gone back to his usual after-school routine, but nothing felt the same. He still walked past the park. He still carried his soccer ball in his backpack, but he couldn't bring himself to actually play. Not after everything. He kept wondering about the girl, Lisa. Had the police done anything more? Was she safe? Was she still sitting on that same bench, hoping someone would understand her the way he did? No one else at school knew what was on his mind. While other kids laughed and played, Sam stayed quiet. He wasn't scared exactly, but he felt responsible. Like now that he'd stepped into her story, he couldn't just walk away. At dinner, he pushed food around on his plate. His mom noticed. You okay, sweetie? He nodded, then shook his head. I keep thinking about Lisa. His mom sighed softly. I do too. He hesitated. Do you think they're helping her? They're trying, she said gently. But sometimes these things take time. It's not always fast. Sam swallowed. What if she still needs help? What if no one's checking? His mom looked at him, thoughtful, then smiled just a little. Why don't you talk to Emily? His older sister, Emily, was 6 years older and had always been his sounding board. She worked at a local community center helping kids, and she had a way of explaining things that made them easier to understand. That night, Sam knocked on her door. She was lying on her bed with a book, headphones in, but when she saw his face, she took them out right away. Something up? She asked, sitting up. Sam sat at the edge of her bed and told her everything. Not just about the park, the signal, and the police visit, but how it had felt, how Lisa had looked, how he couldn't stop thinking about her. Emily listened the way she always did, really listened. When he was done, she gave a small nod. You're not wrong to feel like this. Caring about people isn't something you turn off. Sam frowned. But what can I even do now? Emily thought for a moment. We could go talk to the officer. The one who came to the house. Martinez, right? Sam blinked. They'd listen to us? I think they will, she said. Especially if we bring it up the right way. The next afternoon, after Sam got home from school, they walked together to the local police station. It was just a few blocks away, but to Sam, it felt like walking into something bigger than himself. They were met at the front by a young officer who guided them to a small room with 2 chairs and a low table. Officer Martinez came in a few minutes later, still wearing her uniform, but with a much warmer expression than Sam remembered. She smiled when she saw him. Hey there, I was hoping I'd see you again. Sam shifted nervously. Emily nudged his shoulder gently. I wanted to know how Lisa is, he said. Martinez nodded, her smile softening. She's okay. She's safe. We're still figuring things out with her uncle. Emily spoke up. Sam's worried that just talking to them once won't be enough. Martinez didn't argue. She just nodded. And he's right to worry. Sometimes the first conversation is just the beginning. Kids like Lisa, going through big changes, grief, new homes, it's a lot. Even for adults, it's too much sometimes. Is there anything we can do to help more? Emily asked. Martinez looked at both of them, thinking. Actually, yes. If you're comfortable, I can connect you with the social worker handling her case. Sometimes having people outside of the system, real people, checking in makes a huge difference. Sam's eyes widened. Like, visiting her? Maybe. With permission, Martinez said. Even just sending a letter or letting her know someone is thinking about her. It reminds her she's not alone. Something shifted in Sam's chest. The weight he'd been carrying lightened, just a bit. That evening, after they got home, Emily helped Sam write a letter. It was simple. Hi, Lisa. You might remember me from the park. I saw your signal and told my mom. I just wanted you to know that someone saw you and someone cared. You're not alone. Sam. They sent it through the caseworker. No guarantee Lisa would read it soon, or even respond. But that wasn't the point. Sam just wanted her to know. He didn't forget. The next day, Sam talked to a kid named Josh at school. He lived near the park and always seemed to know the latest buzz in the neighborhood. You know that girl who's always on the bench with the older guy? Sam asked casually. Josh nodded. Yeah, Lisa. She used to be way happier. Played on the swings every day. But then, one day her parents were just gone. Heard it was a car accident. Sam's chest tightened. Her uncle took her in, Josh continued. But he's kinda weird. Not mean, just angry all the time. People say he's not used to kids. Sam nodded slowly. The pieces were coming together now. Later that evening, he shared what he'd learned with Emily. She listened quietly, then said, This makes everything you did even more important. I just want her to be okay, Sam whispered. Emily reached out and gave his hand a squeeze. And we're going to do everything we can to help her get there. Because sometimes helping someone doesn't stop with one call or one conversation. Sometimes it's showing up again and again until they finally believe they're worth being helped. The days grew heavier, like the air itself had learned how to carry silence. Lisa had started noticing the little things again. How long Mr. Harris would sigh before answering a question. How fast his foot tapped when the groceries didn't scan right. How the light in the apartment flickered in one corner of the living room, and no one bothered to fix it. No one had said anything cruel to her. No one had raised a hand, but she still felt bruised in places people couldn't see. Mr. Harris wasn't a bad man. Lisa didn't believe that. He was a man trying to do something he wasn't ready for, trying to be something he'd never planned, to be a guardian, a safe place, a father, and it was eating him alive. Most days passed in silence. Lisa came home from school, dropped her backpack near the door, and quietly made her way to the kitchen table to do her homework. Mr. Harris would be nearby, usually sitting on the couch, lost in thought or buried in bills. Some days he tried, asked if she wanted something to eat or told her to turn off the hallway light to save power. But most days, it was like they were two people just trying not to bump into each other. Then came that evening. The groceries were heavier than usual. The store had been crowded. Mr. Harris had stood in line for 20 minutes behind someone who couldn't find their card. And on the way home, a man at the bus stop gave him a look. Not a friendly one. It was small, but it stuck. By the time he walked through the door and saw Lisa still sitting at the table, pencil in hand, he didn't have much left. "You've been sitting there since I left?" he asked, more sharply than he meant to. Lisa looked up, startled. "Just doing my math." "You didn't even put away your shoes," he said, voice rising. "I was going to." "You were going to? But you didn't. Just like the lights. Just like your laundry." Lisa blinked. She wasn't sure if she should say something or stay quiet. Both seemed wrong. "I try, you know?" Mr. Harris snapped. "I get up. I go to work. I keep this roof over our heads. I carry everything on my back. And you just sit there." "I didn't ask for any of this," Lisa burst out suddenly. The words felt like they flew out without permission. "I didn't ask for my parents to die." The room went completely silent. Mr. Harris looked like he'd been slapped. Lisa stared at him, breathing hard, her fists clenched at her sides. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. I didn't mean..." But she couldn't finish. The words fell apart. Mr. Harris turned away, hands shaking. "You should be grateful you even have someone." That was it. Lisa grabbed her jacket, heart pounding, and ran. She didn't think. She didn't grab her phone. She didn't even take her homework. She just left. The cool night air hit her like a wave as she sprinted down the street. Her feet moved on their own, familiar paths, and they took her straight to the only place she had once felt seen. The park, the same bench, the same slide, the same wind through the trees. She sat down under the slide, tucked her knees to her chest, and started crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just that quiet, broken kind of cry that you only hear when someone thinks no one's listening. And that's when Sam saw her. He hadn't planned to be at the park that late. But he had needed a break. From homework, from thinking, from everything. He had been kicking his soccer ball around when he noticed a figure rush into the park, small and fast, like someone being chased by a memory. His eyes adjusted to the low light, and he recognized her immediately. "Lisa." Without hesitation, he jogged over, careful not to scare her. "Lisa?" he asked softly, crouching beside her. She flinched, startled, then looked up. Tears stained her cheeks, and her hair was tangled from the wind. "It's okay," Sam said gently. "It's just me." For a second, Lisa didn't speak. Then she whispered, "I couldn't stay there." Sam nodded. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. "Emily's home," he said quietly. "We can call her. She'll know what to do." Lisa wiped her face with the sleeve of her jacket. She didn't answer right away, but she didn't run either. Sam pulled out his phone with shaking fingers and dialed Emily. When she answered, he spoke fast. "It's Lisa. She's here, at the park. She's upset. Something happened." Emily didn't ask questions. She just said, "Stay with her. I'm on my way." 15 minutes later, Emily arrived and knelt beside Lisa just like Martinez had. "You're safe now," she said gently. "Do you want to come with me? We'll go to the station, just to talk. No pressure." Lisa looked at Sam, then at Emily, then slowly nodded. They stood up together, Sam on one side, Emily on the other. This time, Lisa didn't make a hand signal. She didn't have to. She was being heard. The following morning felt nothing like the one before. It was quiet, but not the kind that made Lisa feel small. It was the kind of quiet that came with fresh sheets, warm light through clean curtains, and the smell of something baking in the kitchen. It wasn't her home, but it was calm. And for now, that was enough. Lisa sat on the edge of a neatly made bed, her fingers tracing the floral patterns on a handmade quilt. There were pastel-colored pillows, a small desk in the corner, and a bookshelf filled with children's books that looked like they'd actually been read. Her temporary foster mom, Mrs. Johnson, was downstairs making banana bread, humming to herself. Lisa didn't feel ready to talk. Not yet. But the kindness in the woman's eyes had been real. So, she stayed. Meanwhile, across town, Mr. Harris stood in the center of his apartment, surrounded by silence. He didn't know how to sit. With Lisa was gone, not for good. That's what the officers said. But for now. The apartment was too quiet without her light footsteps padding down the hallway. The folded laundry she hadn't finished still sat in a basket by the door. He hadn't packed her things. He couldn't. All he had done was sit on the edge of the couch, head in his hands, while Officer Martinez calmly explained what would happen next. "We're not saying you're a danger, Mr. Harris," she had told him, "but we are saying Lisa needs space, safety, and right now she needs to feel emotionally supported before anything else." He wanted to argue, but for once he didn't, because deep down he knew. He had scared her. Not by what he did, but by everything he couldn't do. Later that week, Mr. Harris walked into a small, sunlit office with walls painted in soft blue. He had an appointment with a counselor named Dr. Martin. It was the first time he had willingly asked for help in years. "I'm not good at this," he said, sitting awkwardly in the leather chair. "Most people aren't," Dr. Martin replied gently, "but the fact that you're here tells me you want to be." That simple response surprised him. So, he stayed. He talked about his sister, how she'd been the planner, the nurturer, the one who always knew what to say. He talked about the crash, how he had gotten the call, how he had driven 2 hours in silence to pick up Lisa and bring her home. "It was supposed to be temporary," he admitted, "just until we figured something out. I didn't think it would be forever." He didn't cry, but for the first time, he allowed himself to feel something other than frustration. Across town, Lisa was sitting on the back porch of the Johnsons' house, watching the sky turn soft pink. A mug of warm cocoa sat untouched beside her. She still didn't know what to call this place. It wasn't home. But it wasn't bad either. Mrs. Johnson had given her space. Space to cry, space to be silent, space to sleep through lunch if she needed. Mr. Johnson had offered her a puzzle on the second day. They didn't finish it, but he didn't seem to mind. And every other evening, like clockwork, Sam and Emily came by. They didn't bring big gifts, just themselves. Sam brought his soccer ball. Emily brought silly stories about her coworkers. They never asked her hard questions. They just let her laugh. Or not laugh. One evening, Sam brought something different. A photo. It was a picture he had drawn. A cartoon version of himself, Lisa, Emily, and a huge soccer ball rolling toward them. "I'm not great at art," Sam mumbled as he handed it over, "but I figured it could go on your wall." Lisa stared at it for a second, then smiled. "A real one?" "Thanks," she said, her voice still small, but stronger than it had been. Later that night, when Mrs. Johnson peeked into her room, she noticed the picture already pinned to the corkboard above her desk. And that's how they knew. She was starting to feel safe. Meanwhile, Mr. Harris continued attending his therapy sessions. At first, he only spoke when spoken to. But by week 3, he was talking about Lisa. "I keep seeing her face when she ran out the door," he said once, voice low. "And it's not the yelling I regret. It's the silence after. That I didn't call her back. That I just let her go. Dr. Martin listened, then asked, "Have you told her any of that?" Mr. Harris looked down. "Not yet. Maybe it's time." A few days later, during their first supervised visit, Mr. Harris walked into the Johnsons' living room holding something, a small, worn photo album. Lisa looked surprised to see it. "I found this in a box in the hall closet," he said, his voice quieter than usual. "Figured maybe we could look at it together." She hesitated, then sat beside him on the couch. The first photo was of her parents, smiling on a picnic blanket at a park just like theirs. Lisa didn't say anything, but she didn't move away either. They turned the pages slowly, one by one. Later that evening, when the visit ended, Lisa told Mrs. Johnson he brought pictures of Mom, and that was all she said, but it was enough. Things didn't change overnight. Lisa still had bad days, days when she didn't want to talk, or when memories crept in uninvited. Mr. Harris still struggled too. He had to learn new ways to communicate, to stay calm, to be the adult he wished someone had been for him. But the difference now? They weren't trying to do it alone. Sam and Emily continued showing up, sometimes with snacks, sometimes with stories, always with open hearts. One Sunday, they all met at the park. Lisa, Sam, Emily, Mr. Harris, and the Johnsons. It wasn't a celebration. It wasn't a goodbye. It was just a quiet afternoon under the same oak tree where it all began. As they sat on the grass, Lisa leaned over to Sam and whispered, "I'm glad you were there that day." Sam didn't know what to say, so he just smiled. And for the first time since that silent hand signal, Lisa didn't feel scared. She felt seen. 2 months had passed since Lisa first made that small, brave hand gesture in the park. 2 months since a quiet boy noticed something no one else did. And in those 2 months, a lot had changed. Lisa was still living with the Johnsons, but now she split her time. Every few days, she'd pack her little overnight bag and stay at Mr. Harris's apartment. Not for long at first, just dinner and a movie. Then, eventually, a weekend. Then a full school week. It was a slow rebuild, but it wasn't forced. It was careful, thoughtful, because this time, everyone understood something they hadn't before. Healing doesn't come from pretending things never broke. It comes from being willing to pick up the pieces, together. Mr. Harris had changed too, not in huge dramatic ways, but in the quiet details. He stopped raising his voice when things went wrong. He asked questions instead of making demands. He started keeping a small notebook where he wrote things down when he felt overwhelmed, instead of letting them spill out onto Lisa. One day, during a supervised visit, Lisa came out of her room to find the kitchen full of sticky notes. "Don't forget to buy apples." "Tell Lisa I'm proud of her." "Take a breath before reacting." They were small things, but they meant something. Lisa stood in the hallway just staring at them. When Mr. Harris noticed, he looked nervous. "They help me remember," he mumbled, scratching the back of his head. "I'm not used to this, but I'm trying." Lisa didn't say anything. But that night, when she packed for the foster house again, she slipped one of the sticky notes into her bag, the one that said, "Tell Lisa I'm proud of her." She didn't show anyone, but she kept it folded in her journal, and every time she opened it, she remembered that people could change, that people could learn how to love better. At school, things were better too. She had started talking more in class, raising her hand, smiling. A few of her classmates had invited her to sit with them during lunch, and one time, she said yes. Sam still checked in every chance he got. He never made a big deal out of it, just small things, a comic book he thought she'd like, a drawing he slipped into her locker, a hey in the hallway that always made her look up. She never said thank you the way adults did, but the way she smiled now, that was more than enough. Emily had also remained involved, meeting with the social worker, helping Mr. Harris get into a support group for guardians raising grieving kids, and even volunteering to co-lead a weekend workshop on emotional resilience. "This isn't just about Lisa," she told Mr. Harris once. "It's about you, too. If no one's there for the adults, how can they be there for the kids?" Mr. Harris had nodded slowly. That was the first time he admitted that maybe he needed help just as much as Lisa did. One cool spring afternoon, a meeting was called at the social services office. Lisa sat at a long table with Mrs. Johnson on one side and Mr. Harris on the other. Sam and Emily had been invited too. The caseworker, Miss Thompson, opened a folder and looked around the room. "We've seen steady progress. Lisa's done incredibly well in school. She's communicating, building friendships, and her supervised visits with Mr. Harris have gone from cautious to really positive." Lisa looked up briefly, then back, at her hands. Miss Thompson continued, "We believe she's ready to return home." A quiet fell over the room, not a heavy one, a thoughtful one. Mr. Harris spoke first. "I want her home, but only if she wants to come back." Lisa looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't seen before. Not guilt, not frustration, just love. Imperfect, but honest. "I'd like that," she said quietly. Mrs. Johnson reached over and gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "We'll always be here for you," she said. "You're family to us too now." And that's how it was decided. Not with fireworks, not with big speeches, just quiet understanding. Just trust. Moving day came a week later. The Johnsons helped Lisa pack her things. The soft blanket, her school books, the now well-worn soccer drawing from Sam, and a little box of letters she had started writing to her parents. Letters she never sent, but needed to write. When she stepped into Mr. Harris's apartment again, this time with her suitcase, it didn't feel like returning to a place she ran from. It felt like starting fresh. There was even a plant in the windowsill. Now a small thing, but growing. That night, Mr. Harris made spaghetti, and they sat on the floor watching a movie from her childhood. It was the first time either of them had laughed at the same scene, and for the first time in a long while, Lisa fell asleep without, her heart pounding. Just outside the door, a new sticky note had been added to the wall. "Let her know she's safe." One Saturday, a few weeks later, Sam, Emily, Lisa, and Mr. Harris met again at the park, the same old oak tree. But everything had changed. They brought sandwiches, juice boxes, and a frisbee. Sam kicked his soccer ball around while Lisa finally joined him. She wasn't scared anymore. She was steady. As they rested on the grass, Lisa looked at Sam and said, "Do you ever think about that day?" "All the time," Sam replied, squinting into the sky. "If you hadn't done that signal?" "If you hadn't seen it?" she said, cutting in. "I don't know where I'd be." He didn't know how to answer that, so he just said, "I'm glad I did." They sat there, two kids who had never planned to know each other, connected not by chance, but by awareness, by courage, and by care. As the sun dipped behind the trees, casting long golden shadows on the grass, Mr. Harris called, "Out. Time to go." Lisa stood up, brushed off her jeans, and turned to Sam. "Thanks for not looking away." Sam shrugged with a smile. "Thanks for asking." And with that, she walked back toward the man who was finally learning how to hold space for her. Not just as her uncle, but as her safe place. This story didn't end with a rescue. It ended with growth, with hard conversations, with therapy, with love that showed up, even when it didn't know how. And maybe that's the real takeaway. It wasn't just that Lisa made a signal, or that Sam saw it. It's that someone cared. Enough to keep caring, to follow through, to stand by, and that changed everything. So now, let me ask you, if you were in Sam's shoes, would you notice? Would you act? If this story moved you, please consider subscribing. We tell true human stories that matter. And your support helps more people feel seen. Until next time, stay kind, stay present, and never underestimate what one small act can do.